Hey, everybody, this is Dennis Brown, former San Francisco 49er and Super Bowl champ. I'm here on the 49er Weekly Show, The Grueling Truth, with Dexter and Matt.
Garoppolo, deep down the middle, that's a liftoff. Shanahan and Jimmy, Bill in Montana. Speaking for the Empire, salute from Santana. Yeah, handoff, down the middle. Beast through the D-line and made them look brittle. Out of nowhere, Sherman in the corner. 60 other way, huh? Kings of California. Every breath, tribute to the greatest. Dwight Clark in our heart since the catch when he made it.
As we build, brick by brick, no imitation, just be patient while we reppin' them numbers. We are the 49ers. Who are we? We're the 49ers.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies, the future in sports medicine. Check it out at thegruelingtruth.com. I'm one of your hosts, Matt Andruscavage, and I'd like to welcome in our other co-host, former 49ers running back, Super Bowl 29 champion, Dexter Carter.
Hey, Matt. Good morning. Good to be back with you, my man, talking about them Niners.
5-0. This is definitely more wins than we've been able to cover combined for a long time.
Absolutely. But, this has been the making, as we've talked about for a long time. And you know what? They are rolling like a locomotive that's focused and with the job to get done. And, everybody seems to be playing their role, even though there's some parts of the machine that may be down. You know what? They put in the replacement parts and they are performing up to the capability of what's expected of them. They are really, really doing well. And I'm excited about seeing, how much better they're going to get.
You said it. I mean, right now, you think about the guys that they're missing. They went into the Rams game on the road after a short week playing Monday Night Football. They go into L.A. with both starting tackles out, their fullback out, who plays a huge role in that running game, a starting cornerback missing, and they threw in the Emmanuel Mosley, undrafted rookie, playing the 2 straight games. He played really well, and Daniel Brunskill in his first start at right tackle against the Rams defensive line, plus Justin Skule making his I believe third start, and had to face Aaron Donald and the rest of that defensive line. And besides maybe 1 or 2 plays, everybody did their part, and they even rotated out a tight end to fill Kyle Juszczyk's role, and it went very well.
Absolutely, and just the name Aaron Donald that you mentioned, for them, and when I say neutralize, it doesn't mean that he played his worst day. I mean, he played well, right, but they literally neutralized him to where, one, they were able to execute the offense that they wanted. You had 2 young in the NFL, as far as people look at the 2 head coaches, 2 young, brilliant offensive minds that everybody expected just to go at it. And Kyle Shanahan just, in my opinion, demolished him on this particular day. And, we've always said, if the 49ers score some points, the defense, if they just hold the other team under 30 points, well, I think they held them way under 30 points. That defense and what they're doing has been in the making for some time. And what they're doing now is a danger to other NFL teams because of what this offense, the points that they can put up, and what this defense is doing. If they're able to keep up this pace and stay healthy and get guys back that are injured, man, it is no telling how quickly the 49ers can, instead of being, from a power ranking perspective, being number 2 behind New England in the league as far as expectations. They can easily move up to number 1 if they consistently play like this, put up points that we've expected for them to do for some time. And now that they're doing it, and the defense is outplaying what people's expectations were of them, except you and I, because we've seen it for some time.
That's right.
I keep saying
we called it.
We called it, year after year. These guys are living up to their expectations. And if that continues to happen, and they live by the motto is how we play and not who we play, man, this team is going to be dangerous for some time.
Yeah, that is for sure. Right now, The level of dominance of the last 3 games defensively is staggering. In their last 3 games, they have allowed a 4 for 32 third down conversion rate combined over the last 3 games. That is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and one of them just, being honest with McVay and his high-powered offense. Who expected that? Gurley wasn't in the game, but you know what? In reality, Gurley hadn't played well since since prior to the Super Bowl last year. So I know something's got to be wrong with his knee. Something's got to be wrong with his body. But nonetheless, they are still the high-powered, Rams that McVay, has created. And, this defense just put up that wall. They showed it multiple times on 3rd and 4th down conversions and on the goal line, where they built that wall, like the coach said in Facing the Giants, build that wall. They built that wall. And I'm telling you, it was exciting to watch, as a former player and a fan.
That's for sure. I mean, you get into a little bit of the first half. The Rams had that opening drive where they didn't do what everybody expected, and to try to pass, because they got those 3 good receivers, they got a couple of good tight ends, and they decided to come out running, and they had a lot of success. And they were able to get an end around to Robert Woods to get that opening touchdown. I believe that was also the first time anyone has scored a rushing touchdown against the 49ers, which is still atop the league. So you get that 7-0 lead, and you're kind of thinking, not so good, because the Niners went 3 and out after a Aaron Donald sack. But then they come right back, and they tie the game at 7. And from that point on, the Rams were just stifled. They couldn't go anywhere. They had you mentioned the wall, that goal line stand, getting the ball inside the 5 with the Rams and being able to make them come away with no points. They were 0 for 9 on 3rd down and 0 for 4 on 4th down. That's tremendous defense, and you could see how excited Robert Saleh was on the sideline, and justifiably so.
Absolutely. Great job coaching by he and his defensive assistants, in this last game. And the thing is yes, the first drive, the Rams go down as quote unquote they normally do, and could have been, decimating, to the 49ers. But you know what? They stayed the course, and they came back, fixed whatever issues there were, or just kept doing what they're doing. Because you know what? The Rams just had a good drive. But you know what? It's not what you do on the first drive. It's what you do over the course of an entire game. And from that point after, it seems like there was no adjustments by McVay. But whatever adjustments he did make, the 49ers defense just stifled them. And it was just enjoyable to watch. And as an offensive player, knowing that our defense is playing that way on a certain day, oh, man. It's encouraging to go out there and put up points, because you know that defense is going to stop them from scoring points. And, so to see the offensive performance of, again, each position, offensive line, running backs weren't over the chart, stellar like the week before, but they were exactly what that offense needed, because the passing game, rose this week, and that's the thing that they can do. They can be 50-50. They can be 70-30, run more than pass or pass more than run. And this week it was the pass. But they had enough run to control that defensive front and that defensive unit as a whole for the Rams, to where they were able to just throw the ball around. And Kittle again.
He's amazing.
This dude finds open spots, and his energy and effort after that ball hits his hands is off the chain. Man, it's what I teach. It's what I hope all players that I have a chance to impact, would do. And it can be taught. It's an instinct, get to the open spot, catch, tuck, dip upfield, and hit it, and that allows you to run through arm tackles and always fall forward. Man, he is exciting to watch.
Yeah, George Kittle's very, very special player. I mean, he comes in with a groin injury. They were saying he was 50-50 to play. When you watched him out there, it did not look like he was hurt at all, especially on that 40-yard catch and run, which was actually a really big play, because the Niners had just before that had tried a flea flicker, and Garoppolo threw a gorgeous pass that just happened to go right through Goodwin's hands. And it was a big play, and everyone was you kind of felt a little dejected, but then they come right back. They hit George Kittle, and he just goes through, like, it felt like he broke 15 tackles on his way down to the 5-yard line. The guy just, like you said, he finds ways to break tackles and fall forward, and he finished with 8 catches for 103 yards. He was huge for the offense.
Yeah. He's a very, very special player. We can sit and talk all day about him, but we're going to have enough time this season to talk of more accolades and more great performances that he will put on. But I'm telling you, someone who impressed me, that Shanahan, pretty much put out there right after preseason, and, about he expected more of this guy. And now I'm seeing why. Because Pettis played this weekend.
Yeah.
He played the way I believe Kyle Shanahan expected him to play as a number. I mean, he could be a number 2 receiver, number 1, if he really continues improving the way he has. We've got a great, in my opinion, in the making, a great receiving corps. And but Pettis has the opportunity, to take over the number 1 spot if he keeps improving the way he is.
Right.
Him, Goodwin. We've got some good guys, at those receiver positions. But Pettis showed in this game, this is what Kyle Shanahan expected of me, and this is the level that I need to stay at and or above. Don't go back under what you were prior to this past weekend's game. Continue improving the way you have, and he could easily, work his way, into being part of the top echelon receivers in the league.
That's right. So, yeah, I thought Dante Pettis as well also had a really good game. There was a couple plays, you look in the box score, and nothing is really going to jump out at you from the offensive side of the ball because they didn't put up eye-popping raw numbers. But if you take that approach, you're going to miss so many things. Jimmy Garoppolo was 24 for 33 for 243 yards. He moved the ball so well to set them up for field goals. They had opportunities for touchdowns. There was a couple of miscues, but overall, he was extremely efficient. And one thing that Garoppolo just does very well is, on second and manageable, third and, whether it's even 3rd and 10 or 3rd and manageable, he just finds ways to move the chains. He's got some great instincts. There's one play where he's under duress, and like 2 guys it looks like he's going to go down, and he's kind of stumbling back there, and he sees Levine Toilolo, the tight end, and he just kind of pitches it to him, and he goes for 8 yards. The only thing you'll see in the box score is Toilolo's 1 catch for 8 yards, but that was a huge play because that could have been a loss. There were several plays like that, and you bring up Dante Pettis. There was one play where I believe he hit Pettis for like 20 yards down to the 3-yard line. Pettis just went up for it. It was kind of a high throw, but he came down with it in traffic. And you just see all the effort from really the whole team, regardless of what the box score shows and the raw numbers show. They moved the ball very well. They didn't have a high average on the ground, but they still ran the ball for 40 times. And Kyle Shanahan said, if you run the ball for 40 times, even if you got a low average, you're getting first downs in there somewhere. And that's really what happened. They just squeezed the Rams to death, slowly but surely.
Right. And when you're playing well, those are the kind of plays that go your way. You expect success on plays, and you find a way to make it happen. And that's what I'm beginning to see in this team, that's undefeated. They're just finding ways to make it happen, and guys are believing. And when you believe in what you guys are doing and believe in each other, the sky's the limit. And right now, they're rolling on all cylinders.
That's for sure. They left some points on the board. I thought, that the interception in the end zone was a tough play. It looks like there was some holding in the end zone that wasn't called, but you know what? They shook it off, despite the fact that there was an end zone turnover. And then later in the game, Garoppolo was under pressure, and I believe Aaron Donald knocked the ball out. Those were a couple of really, really big plays. They never flinched, whether it be on offense or defense. The offense, when they got their next chance, they came out and moved the ball, put points on the board. And defensively, that's really the story of the day, because the Rams were just not able to really play their game at all because the pass rush was just all over Jared Goff. They stopped the run for the most part in the big spots. Yeah, they gave up some yards in a couple of drives, but most of those yards came in like 2 drives. They just completely stifled the Rams, and you could see Goff was under pressure. And when he gets under pressure, the ball, that ball's got to come out a lot sooner than what he wants to do. And you could tell the Niners did not allow them to play their game.
Yeah, I saw some pressure on Goff at times where pressure would come around the end. I'm telling you, it wasn't a sack, but the pressure itself just put fear into Goff.
Yeah.
Where, he stepped up into the pressure where the interior line got the sack. But the pressure really could have come from either one of our exceptional defensive ends,
Right.
But that pressure that was put on him, terrified him because he had offensive tackles back, moonwalking back into him, and very, very quickly. So, man, what they're doing is total athleticism, planning, just structure of that defense, and just the brilliance of, the exciting defensive coordinator over there on the 49ers side, sadly.
Yep, I was really, really glad for him. I'm just glad to see there was so many good things in this game. You saw Jimmy Ward play really well on a couple of big plays. He looks right now. Both safeties are really having good years, especially Jaquiski Tart. He's really laying the wood on people. They're not really giving up a lot of big plays, and Jimmy Ward in coverage. That was really good to see because if he can play anything up to what they thought he might be, that's going to really bode well for the secondary. Sherman's playing well. Emmanuel Mosley, undrafted rookie, playing on the other side of Richard Sherman. You think about the quality of receivers, and he didn't flinch. They didn't give up big plays. You got Fred Warner playing well, Quan Alexander playing well, and then even Solomon Thomas getting a sack. Eric Armstead is really having a good year, and Dee Ford probably had the best day of anybody with his pressures, his forced fumble. I believe he had like almost a 95 Pro Football Focus rating, which is pretty high. So that whole defense just playing outstanding. Even when they weren't getting sacks. It's the pressure that they generate that really makes the difference.
Yeah, they're all playing their role, we keep talking about Bosa and Ford, bringing those edges, but I'm going to tell you, you mentioned his name, but a lot of people, and I even had my doubt, but man, Jimmy Ward is playing very, very good ball.
Yep.
And, he's the kind of player that, they brought in, and they believed in him, and they believed in what he could be. And it was like a slow process. But then all of a sudden, you start seeing what they saw when they looked into the crystal ball of what this young man could be. And he's rising to the occasion. I think when Richard Sherman came in, although he tore his Achilles and was slowed last year, I think just him being in that locker room and lessons these young guys learned from him, I think it took them light years ahead of where they were. An expectation of perfection and getting the most out of what you are, but getting the most out of from a strategic perspective. He knows it. He knows what you do in certain situations. And he even showed last year, being injured, he didn't even reach his maximum potential. Now, all of a sudden, he's healthy and he's playing at the height of what he was playing at back when he was, with Seattle. It's no substitute for having good people in the locker room, people with experience that can share that wisdom and that knowledge that can help a young player get better and get better quickly.
Yeah, I think like you said, Sherman being on this team has just made so much difference for really the whole defense. He just adds so much leadership, so much knowledge and experience, and he knows what it's like to get it done at the championship level. And so that's it's tremendous to see what he's doing out there.
Yeah, and one thing about Sherman, I have to make a point on, because after this game, Sherman, made sure that the naysayers, made sure that they did not forget, to stay in their place and stay, where they were prior to the season on what they believe the 49ers could be.
Yep.
And I made my statement last week, about, staying focused and, what, they've got eyes, they've got ears. Let them, they know what they said. They know that what their predictions were incorrect, but everything is a guess from analysts. Everything's, as I said last week, everything is based on history, based on potential. And you know what? They said what they said. And I still believe, you focus on the task at hand and you move forward, but if anybody has earned the right to say the things that he is saying, he's not disrespecting anybody. I just thought it was taking a focus away from, the true excitement of what's going on right now. And that's, hey, this team, hey, let's look forward to the next game and let's continue to prove them wrong. But he has a right, because he's earned it, to say the things he's saying, because he's not disrespecting anybody, as I said, and we don't know what he may have heard that we don't know about, so you could tell he's taking this really personal, because I'm telling you, when he got hurt last year, I'm sure he heard some rumblings and some things about, hey, he's done and all this stuff, and the 49ers won't be anything, but I'm going to allow him. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm going to agree with him to say what he wants to say, although I still feel moving forward as a team is better than sitting there and just putting time towards these people that really, at the end of the day, don't even matter.
That is for sure. On one hand, it's really great to see on Twitter, Pro Football Weekly. I believe it's Mike Florio, who is notorious for being a Niner criticizer, no matter what they do, and he immediately responds to them. They're like, is he going to say this every week? And Sherman says, yep, deal with it. It was great. But on the other hand, most of these people just ignore them. It don't matter what they think. It don't matter what they say. All they got to do is go play their game. And, eventually they can't be ignored.
Right. And all these people, they see these games. They see how well the 49ers are playing. So, you know what? They know they're wrong.
Yeah, they do.
If they haven't said it, they will say it very, very soon when they continue playing well. They've got to say, you know what? Hey, guys, we all made a prediction in preseason. Hey, at the end of the day, we're wrong. They are the real deal.
Yep.
So
that's for sure.
That's what I say. Just that's going to eventually happen if it hadn't already happened. So just keep playing the way you're playing, Niners, and those naysayers and unbelievers will be believers before you know it.
That's correct. So as we transition to to Week 7 at Washington, we're going to transition to the preview here. It's the Washington Redskins have won one game. They got their first win against Miami last week. They're not playing all that well. They've already moved on from Jay Gruden, and so now they're who really knows what's going on in Washington right now. So, but we don't want this to be a trap game. I don't think it will be a trap game by any means, but the hope is that they also don't play down to the level of competition. They've got Case Keenum back under center, but very shaky offensive line. There's not a lot over there that you can point at for the Washington Redskins and go, ooh, that's going to be an issue. But however, the Niners just got to play their game. They got to go in there and really, I would say, do what they do best. Establish the ground game, give Jimmy Garoppolo protection, and just go after the quarterback with that defense.
Yeah, this is a team that's been just made for quite some time, years. So this is definitely a game that I think will be more telling, not of who Washington is, but of who the 49ers are and where they're going. So you create a game plan just like you would any other game plan to dismantle them, go out and destroy them, because Shanahan and Saleh can't worry about the other team. They can't coach both teams. So go out, if you score, just being honest, if you score 60 points, with your backups, getting playing time, then you score 60 points. Don't worry about the other team. Again, it's how we play, not who we play. So don't let a team that has been in disarray for years with no identity, that don't know where they're going, that can't settle on a coach, don't allow that to set us back from what we've already shown the country and the world, who we really are. So I think that's the key this week. When the game ends, we'll know more about ourselves than Washington knows about them, because we already know who they are.
Yeah, I would agree. I think this should be similar to the Bengals game. They need to go in there, have a strong first quarter, a strong second quarter, and just really establish dominance. Don't let them hang around. Don't put them. Don't have really any bad turnovers. Just play a clean game and do what they do best. I really believe that this is going to be the kind of game where we're going to see one of the young players have a breakout game, whether it's Dante Pettis, whether it's one of the running backs, whether it's any of the young players. I think somebody's going to have a big game, and we should see Jimmy Garoppolo have one of his better games. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to see out there, and I just really want to see the defense continue to just take it to every offense that they play.
Yeah, I think you come out and you establish the running game like everybody says they want to do, but we have the people in position, offensive line, running back position, that can actually establish that running game. So I say be consistent with it, and then we throw to the open man. And what we've seen so far this season, the open man most of the time is Kittle, and when he gets it, he's going to light it up. So just execute, the game plan. Let there be a colorless jersey over there, and just execute. Get on the plane and fly back to the Bay Area. Big time winners going on to the next game.
That's right. So hopefully there is not going to be too much drama in this game. This should just be a win, and hopefully a convincing one. Just a real quick before we wrap up about the injuries. Against the Rams, the 49ers had a relatively injury-free game. Deebo Samuel did sustain a quad injury, or it might have been actually I think it was a groin injury, but he's just day-to-day. And DJ Jones, defensive lineman, also had a minor injury. He's considered day-to-day. Neither appear to be serious in any way, so they finally got through a game where a key player is not going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. And on other good news, Joe Staley looks like he's going to be set to return against Arizona in 2 weeks, and next week we should see Ahkello Witherspoon come back. So Kyle Shanahan gave an update. We're going to get 2 players hopefully back early, and then the other 2 guys, Kyle Juszczyk and Mike McGlinchey, will hopefully be back for the Seattle game on November 11th.
Yeah, and one key thing, as the 49ers move on, is they're undefeated, but they have yet to play their best ball. That's
exactly right.
Yeah, there's always things you can improve on, and that's what that's what's going to allow this team to continue getting better than what they already are. That we see as 49er faithful fans and former players, but it's going to be interesting to see, how they move forward and how they continue to just work on the little things that allow a team to get better and better every week, when it looks like to the naked eye to us fans that they are playing their best ball. But they have many, many areas that they can improve on, just like Coach Shanahan said, that there are areas that they can definitely get better in. And it's hard for us to see as fans sometimes, but they are definitely going to work on those little things to get better as a unit.
That's for sure. I expect them to improve on some of these things that they haven't done really well on. Hopefully we're going to see less drops. I'm glad to see that the penalties have gone down. Just little things, because there were 2 touchdowns I think they left on the board. Maybe they turn one of those into 6 this week instead of settling for a field goal. So I completely agree. I think they're going to have opportunities to improve on some small things, and we should see a pretty good game on Sunday.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. And, coming back next week, at 6-0, and just talking about the great things and how the team has improved moving forward.
That's right. So let's hope for 6-0, see what happens, and hopefully we're going to see some great things again this Sunday.
Absolutely, my man. Great talking to you again.
Same to you. And so we're going to wrap up today's show. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Please go check out thegruelingtruth.com, and we'll catch you back next week. So for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, where the legends speak.